Hey everybody, I'm Joe Killinger. I'm a real estate investor and entrepreneur, and we put these videos together every week to give you all the tips and insights from my experience over the last several years. So make sure you tune in and subscribe, and thank you. All right, everybody, thank you for tuning in today. I've got a very special guest. We've got, it's all geared around real estate investors today, how to get started. We have a great backstory that I think you're going to find to be very interesting. It's worked out highly. She's been highly successful with her investing. So Monick Halm, Monick, thank you for coming in today.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
I guess it's actually coming online. I get to where it's just Zoom meeting, regular meeting. I can't keep up anymore. You've got a great story. And, I just think it's something that our viewers should hear about, because we all want to be real estate investors, right? So it's great for them to hear from somebody that's had such success. And so I'm really glad you could take the time to come on. But why don't you tell us a little bit about your backstory?
Sure. I got started in real estate investing really by accident. I was never taught to be a real estate investor. I have great parents, very supportive. They always told me, you can be anything you want, Monique, as long as, like in parentheses, as long as you're a doctor, lawyer, professor, engineer. Like for them,
Right, yeah.
that was success.
As long as you meet these. Okay.
Yeah. So it's like you can do anything you want. You can sky's the limit. And for them, that was, going to college, then grad school, and then doing one of those four paths. Of those paths, I chose being a lawyer, which that was not a happy path for me, but that's a whole other
Nor us. We don't need any more attorneys in this world.
That's probably true.
I'm glad you made this pivot.
Yeah, so you have one less in me. I don't practice anymore, but I did go that route, and the only thing I'd ever been taught about real estate was that you should buy your own house.
Right.
And so I went to do that, and this was in 2005, towards the top of the last bubble. Like like you, I live in Los Angeles, and as you know, that a starter house in like a semi-decent neighborhood, even 15 years ago, was upwards of $600,000-$700,000, and it was something that I could not afford by myself, even though I had a decent lawyer salary. It wasn't that much. And a friend of mine who was in a similar boat suggested that we buy a duplex together. The original idea would be we'd buy a property with two equal sides. He'd live on one side, I'd live on the other side. And instead, we ended up finding this old Craftsman that had a larger unit downstairs and a two-bedroom upstairs. It was a converted garage that had a one-bedroom. And so we each took a bedroom in the larger unit, and then rented out the upstairs, rented our back house, even rented out our basement. And we were house hacking before I knew that was a thing. It wasn't.
Maybe you created it.
You're it. That was not like our original intention. It was just to be able to afford it. But then it's like, it's awesome. They're paying our mortgage. This is great. And then I met my husband, and he had a duplex, and we got a single family rental together. And then after the market crashed, we ended up selling one of the duplexes and using the proceeds to flip houses. And that's, around that time, I stopped working as a lawyer. It wasn't necessarily my choice, though it ended up being a happy blessing. I was 6 months pregnant when my boss called me into his office. I thought to give me a bonus, but instead he fired me.
That was a bonus. Now you know.
No, it ended up being a blessing in disguise. Yeah. A very, very well disguised blessing. It did not feel like a blessing at the time, but he did me a big favor. And I ended up, so I was like, okay, I'll just wait until after I give birth, because I was so pregnant, and I have a short maternity period, and then I will look for another job. Well, my daughter was born in late August of 2008, and then within a month, the economy was in free fall.
Oh
A couple
yeah.
months after that, my husband's graphic design business was down 90%. Um, it was a really tough time, but our real estate is what kept a roof over our heads and helped save us. And then we started flipping then when houses were on sale, and we ended up maybe like 2015 going. Houses were not so on sales and getting very competitive, and flipping
Yeah.
is a job, right? You do it.
A high risk job too.
Yeah, I mean, knock on wood, we never lost anything, but it was,
Yeah.
we, and I didn't know what I didn't know. So at that point, it was hard for us to get conventional financing. I didn't know about hard money financing when we started. So we were just paying all cash for these houses. And it was like the amounts were getting larger and larger. Um, yeah, it was just the margins were getting slimmer and slimmer.
Sure.
And it's frustrating because you do it and then you sell hopefully with a profit, and then you have to start over again. So we were looking for something more passive, buy and hold, and we were looking for a fourplex, which was at the time the biggest thing I could imagine, and nothing cash flowed in Los Angeles. I
Yeah.
couldn't find any way to cash flow. Super frustrating. And it was at that point that I met the man who would become my mentor. And it's amazing how sometimes, like, when you're on the right path, the universe just brings the right person you need to meet. I was talking to a friend of mine about like my frustration with the flipping and looking for a fourplex and not being able to find anything that cash flows. It would cost a fortune and that wouldn't make any money. And he said, you should talk to my friend Robert Helms. He's the host of the Real Estate Guys radio podcast. He's coming to LA tomorrow. He's done like hundreds of millions of dollars worth of real estate investing. Maybe he could give you some suggestions. I went, sure. So I went out to dinner with them, and 10-minute conversation just changed everything. So the first thing, after asking me what was happening, I told him about the flipping and trying to find this fourplex. Robert said, LA is a tough market. I always say, live where you want to live, invest where the numbers make sense. And I went, oh,
Great advice. Great
great
advice.
advice. Until he said that, it never crossed my mind that I could invest outside of where I could drive to my property, touch it, self-manage it. Like, I didn't realize that was an option. I went, oh. So literally that opened up the world. And there are a lot of places where numbers make a lot more sense in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
So that really helped. And then the other thing he said was, and you can get this fourplex by yourself, but you're limited to your own capital and credit. He said, alternatively, you could bring a group of investors together. Instead, you could get a 100, 200 unit apartment building. And he started telling me about the benefits of that. Like my brain exploded. I was
Isn't
like,
it amazing? A good mentor. I mean, this was just minutes into a dinner,
yeah, like
probably.
couple paradigm shifts.
Yeah, and you've completely changed your entire focus. That's why
Yeah.
mentoring is so important for getting started.
So it's so true. And yeah, so I decided right then and there that's like, oh, I want to learn how to do that thing he was talking about. I also wanted to be, you're talking about mentoring. I want and just like being around the right people. I wanted to be around people and to learn from somebody who thought 200 units was normal.
Right.
Like, until that moment, everyone around me thought a fourplex was a really big deal.
Yeah.
And that was like already like thinking so big. And I was like, I want to be around people who think like 200 units is normal. I want to be around people who think that big, and learn from them. I told Robert, I was like, I'm gonna be your groupie and like follow from you. He laughed just like that. I thought I was kidding, but I literally followed him, learning from him around the world. But and it really paid off. I met him October 2015. In January 2016, they were doing a syndication seminar. I went with my husband to that in Phoenix. And before the end of the year, by January 2017, we went from like 2 doors at the beginning of the year to over 1,000 doors in that 12-month period from doing that, from being able to leverage and just like and partner with other people.
So now you're syndicating deals now as well?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And where's your focus? I mean, what states are you just looking across the entire country, or do you have specific states you're targeting?
Yeah. So in our residential, we were focusing on the south and southeast.
Okay.
But what we have started, in the past year, year and a half, we started moving more into industrial space, and we're doing a type of investing. It's pretty niche. It's called a sale leaseback. It's buying a facility from a company that they have a facility that they want to use, but they don't want to own anymore for a variety of
Right.
reasons. They want to sell it, mostly to get the equity out of the property. But then they lease it right back to us. They become our tenants, with triple net leases. So we have those all over the country. Now this year we got one in Rochester, New York. We have one in Fresno, California. We have one in Phoenix, Arizona. We're just about to get ones in Michigan, Texas, and Virginia.
Okay.
So with these, we're more looking at the company
Right.
more than the market.
Yeah, the company's financials.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the biggest. I mean, it's nice that like very few moving parts in these
Yeah,
deals.
exactly. You've got the
Uh,
tenant already. You just need to create
yeah,
a
it's like
lease that works for everybody.
a single tenant. We put them in these. They're 20-year leases with built-in rent
Yeah,
increases. So it's all and because it's triple net, we know they're paying the property taxes, insurance, all the maintenance. So,
pretty
so there's
passive.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
very massive.
management's very easy. Just your check every month.
Yeah,
You, you
exactly what expenses and
yeah.
income will be, but we just have to really do their due diligence on the company, on the tenant.
So you're focused on industrial now. You're not really looking at multifamily, or are you looking at both asset classes?
We're open to both. We did 900 units in Atlanta last year, so we're still open. But now with what's happening in the market,
Yeah,
I'm very risk averse with my investors' money, so I'm
yeah,
just like I've like so I've been kind of much more in a wait and see mode.
right.
Just with what's happening in the economy. Again, I want to be more on the other side of this pandemic
Yeah.
before I start and see the fallout.
And there's a lot of very unusual
Yeah,
variables right now that nobody really, we've never been through this before. So,
yeah.
predicting it's very, very difficult. I know one thing that I always run into investors, they'll reach out to me that, how did you get started? So how did you start syndicating? Did you raise money from friends and family, or how did you get started with that?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, interestingly, most of the people that first syndicated with us, and even now, most of the people that syndicate with us are not friends and family. They are
They're not.
people now. Increasingly, more friends and family are coming in,
Sure, yeah.
but there were friends that we met through the real estate investing world. And I think it's partly because they met us in that context and they thought of us as real estate investors. And before that, people I think they knew me as a lawyer, or they knew me and then I became a coach. So they knew me in a different context. And we're necessarily thinking about that in real estate terms. And also, I feel like when, with investors, there are a couple of hurdles that they have to climb before they're going to invest in a deal. The first is that they need to understand like that real estate investing is something that they want to do and it makes sense for them.
Yeah.
And then they have to understand syndication and that that's an
Mhm.
option versus like getting their own property and being the landlord. So those are like the first couple hurdles. And then it's you as the syndicator and then the deal, right?
Right.
So when you have people that already are past the first two hurdles, right? They already get real estate. They already know that they want to syndicate. It's a lot easier. It's just, do I do a syndication with you? And is this the right deal? Then they don't have as many hoops to jump through. Whereas I found with a lot of my friends and family, they had to understand the first two hoops before we even got to like me as a syndicator and that deal. So it's been a lot easier to just have investors that already know that they want to invest in syndications. And then it's just, do they want to invest with me, and do they want to invest in this particular deal? Is that a fit for them at this
Right.
point? So since I've been doing this more and more now, family members are like, "Tell, what are you doing? Tell me,
You've got
tell
the
me more
track
about that."
record.
Yeah, like,
Everybody else, so the friends and family, like, okay, I might dip my toe in now that you've
yeah.
proven yourself.
But I want my family to get it. I mean, these
Of
are
course.
great deals, and so I it's like, guys, like, just this is a way to get your money working for you. So
Yeah.
I do it, but if they're not ready, then they're not. So
Yeah, it can make Christmas, make the holidays a little rough if it's you're not doing it right, right?
no,
Now you started
yeah.
off. What's your deal size you're looking at now? I'm assuming you start off with single family, and then you did some apartments. I'm guessing, and then now you're doing these larger industrial deals.
hmm
What's your average deal size now? Syndication.
So on the industrial, they're probably in the 5 to 15 million range
Okay.
for those industrial ones. In the multifamily, the largest one we did was 24 million.
Okay. So you're really going after it. I mean, those are good sized deals.
Yeah.
That's impressive. Starting off with single family. Everybody wants to start off with single family flips, and my heart just cringes. I'm like, oof. They don't realize the risk, but it's easiest because that's what they know. They live in a home or live in an apartment. They kind of have
Yeah.
an idea. But man, if that doesn't work right away, and you have to rent that out, and the tenant goes south on you, you've got to pay that full mortgage. That can be daunting.
It's hard. I know. And the thing, I think it's like what happened with me. We don't know what we don't know, right? So
Right.
you like all I knew about investing, and it's like I kind of fell into the small multifamily and the single family rentals at first. And then I saw those HGTV shows and
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, I guess that's what you do when you like. I was like, we
Yeah.
can do that. That sounds fun, and
Hmm.
they were kind of fun, and it was nice to like take an ugly duckling and make it beautiful. But that's all I knew. Like
Yeah.
I wish I'd known about syndication so much earlier. Like when I found out, I was like, why did I not know that? We would have been
Yeah.
so much further ahead if we'd been investing that way instead of in the like the flips. But
Sure.
you
It's hard. I mean, it's the
yeah
syndicate, and a lot of your first couple syndications, guys probably had to invest a pretty good chunk right next to your investors. So
yeah
having that can be kind of difficult, but it's if you really want to grow and you want to get into the size deals you're doing, syndication's a great way to do it. So
yeah. And then
it
it also what I love is that it allows me to it's very win-win, so it allows you to help a lot of other people too, so bring people along with you. I have a personal mission, and this came as this divine download, that I want to help 1 million women create financial freedom through real estate investing. And that sometimes like such a big number, but I'm just like
it
get
is
there
a big number.
it's such a lot, but I'm doing what I can. But what I love about syndication is that it's a way that like really like a lot of women are busy, like they're too busy, they don't necessarily have the time or the desire to find the property, be a tenant, like get calls in the middle of the night, or like do
Hmm.
all of the due diligence, learn all the things you need to know in order to manage real estate. But they want their money working for them, and it's a way for them to get in and create those passive income streams and move towards financial freedom, without having to do all the work. And that's a way that we've been able to help a lot of people get in that game. So that's another thing that I just love about syndication.
Yeah, I really would like to see. Did I send you the link to our foundation, MentorWire?
No, you
Oh,
didn't yet.
okay. I'll do it. We have a foundation, and it's geared. It's called MentorWire.org, and it's on hold right now, but just with the pandemic. So we take young women, and it's in Los Angeles because that's where we're at right now, and hopefully we'll expand it nationwide at some point. But we go into low to moderate income areas, and we find young women that want to have real estate as a career. Now it can be in title, escrow. You want to be a real estate agent, um, whatever you want to do. We'll find a mentor for you that can really help lead you down that path. And so we got started about a year ago, and we had a phenomenal young lady she's raised in foster care in Watts since
Wow.
shortly after being born. She's just positive energy, such a great person. And she's getting licensed now. We have mentors for her. I mean, obviously in March we had to stop everything, but she was working with mentors. She's getting her license now. So hopefully first quarter or maybe second quarter of next year, we can kind of pick it up again. So you and I kind of have the same path. I really think that we can get more women into real estate investing or real estate period, and they want to have a career in it. And so that's a passion
Yeah.
that we have as well. So
I love
a
that you're
million
doing
is a
that.
lot of people.
A
I'm
million
happy with
is.
getting 10 people that we can mentor.
Well, it may, was like the story of the guy walking down the beach and throwing the starfish that he finds on the sand, throwing them back in the ocean.
Yeah.
Somebody's like, "What are you doing?" It's like there are like millions of starfish out there. It's like why are you just doing them one at a time? And he's like, "Well, it matters to that one,
Yeah,
right?"
that's exactly
So
right.
it's like 10 women, or you change the life of one woman
Oh yeah,
that or one person, that's everything. So
yeah, yeah. I
so
really
you're
think there just needs to be a lot of women don't realize that the opportunity is there, especially in these lower to moderate income areas. They don't realize the opportunity is there. And so
yeah.
our goal with our foundation is to create that opportunity and awareness that you can do it. And so we've got women like you that are out there that I'll be barking up when it's time to get mentoring again. I'm going to be calling you, say, hey, how many you want to mentor? But uh, Monick, this was amazing. Thank you for coming on today. I think people are going to learn a lot about, you give a lot of people excitement about how you've come from being laid off and having a child to working at home and to starting flipping homes. And it's such a great story. And obviously you're a true entrepreneur. And I think we'll probably be picking up a Wall Street Journal someday and reading a lot about you and your path. So I'm glad we got to you first.
Oh,
But thank you for coming on today. And if anybody has any questions for Monick, reach out to me or I'll put her information directly, or you can go to real estate and REI Goddess, right? Is the website
reigoddesses.com.
goddesses.com. So
Yeah.
I'll put the link in the YouTube channel and make sure you reach out to her with any questions. And as always, we put these out every week. So please remember to subscribe. And thank you for coming. Thank you for coming over, Monick, or coming on. And I hope we can stay in touch.
Likewise. Thanks, Joe.
All right. Take care.